This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, free of duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outward and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to wrong views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
All right, Ajahn, over to you.
Over to me. All on my shoulders again. Okay.
Yes.
Well, welcome from me as well. I hope you're all in good spirits. If not, hopefully we can change that. Do some meditation together, and we all come from different mind states. I'm all right this evening. Actually, I just had a warm shower. Now I feel a little bit drowsy. Maybe I should have had a cold shower. Or that's probably gonna fade in a few minutes again. So you check your own mind states always. We don't fiddle around with it. We don't get negative when we're negative already. That doesn't help. You just see what's going on, and if you're drowsy and you have to give a Dhamma talk, then you're basically screwed. So tonight is gonna be just awful, and we have to make peace with it. So bear with me. Cannot always be in the best form, and part of the practice is just to deal with what we got in the moment. If we have that illusion that we're in charge, then we just get one of these power people. The world is my oyster. You can achieve everything. You just have to want it enough. And that's how a lot of people meditate as well. The American way. The we just have to want it enough, and then something is going to happen. And if we meditate that way, we just create an obstacle from the very beginning in our mind. We enforce that delusion of somebody in the background who is in charge. The Buddha is talking about non-self, the 5 khandhas, the 5 aggregates, like body, feeling, perception, sense. The sense basis, especially thought as well, is not under our control. There's nobody behind the scenes who is really pulling the strings. Will is a conditioned element in this game. So what people usually try is to make they try to make their will very strong. If your will is just strong enough, if you just want it enough, you repeat it enough, then something is going to happen. And that might work for some endeavors in the physical world, for maybe getting the new job, or I don't know what goals people have, getting the girl, getting the boy. What's going on in the world? I don't know. People getting the new car or whatnot, just putting the money away and being frugal for a while, and then you can get what you want. But in the meditation practice, this sort of attitude is just going to be one more problem in your meditation. You just have one more delusional aspect of a self in the background that, when it realizes that it's not in charge, it's just going to get either very angry or very scared. So if we start like that, just producing more ego, producing more will in our minds for our meditation, we're going in the wrong direction from the very beginning. The teachers, they always speak of letting go, letting go, letting go in meditation. But that sounds again like we're supposed to do something. We are letting go. And then, I can't let go. Sure, you can't let go. Nobody can let go. Letting go is either happening or it's not happening. And just ask yourself, what mind state for yourself is a mind state where you can even imagine, be willing to let anything go? What have the circumstances outside and in your mind? What even creates a chance in the mind to relax, to feel comfortable, to let something drop? And if you look closely, it's definitely going to be a state where you're comfortable, where you feel safe, where you feel there's enough kindness in the room. It's not the outside circumstances is not too cold that you're freezing, is not too hot that you're sweating like a pig, or maybe it is and you can't change it. Then is another point is good to make peace with in that moment. If we can't change the circumstances, and sometimes we have to endure it. I'm in my hut, I don't have air conditioning there. I just come from Kusala, where they had air conditioning, so I was very spoiled for 2 months. And now my body hasn't adjusted, and my kuti, my hut is like an oven, basically. So that's going to be just a little bit tougher. But I haven't got negative with that yet. Actually, it's just if I get too hot, I splash a bit of water in my face. I have a nice water tank in my hut, so that all works out. We cannot control all the outside circumstances. I always tell you that make yourself a comfortable place in your home if you have the opportunity. If your home is big enough, maybe even a place that you can just use for that. If not, then maybe something that can be arranged quickly enough for your meditation, that you have the outside beautiful, that you have a spot where your body knows already, that is the spot where I can relax. So if the if the outside circumstances are as good as they can get, then we see what is the mind like in the moment. What is my mind state like, and what is the chance for our minds to feel comfortable? Is if we don't have somebody looking over our shoulder the whole time. And a lot of people meditate like that still. I just talked recently with somebody, and there's still so much force people use for their meditation. There's like this feeling it's time to achieve something. And the only way they're all trained is like somebody is watching now in the back, and is basically is a very harsh guy, usually with men especially, but I think a lot of women do it as well. A very harsh guy in the background that is basically shouting commands the whole time, and then they're surprised that the mind doesn't get peaceful, that there is no ease or anything. As if some miracle is going to happen, that you just has to be uncomfortable and unkind enough, that some great breakthrough is going to happen, and then everything becomes clear. And is exactly the opposite. Is exactly that the mind feels so much at ease with itself in the moment already, that the five senses, they don't need to look outwards anymore. The eye, we look around because we want to see beautiful sights. We listen for the beautiful sounds. We try to get the beautiful tastes and the beautiful smells and the beautiful touches. That is what our five sense bases are doing the whole day. Getting this beautiful input from the outside the whole time. And why is that? Because we feel a gigantic hole inside if we don't do that. It feels like is missing something. That's what we call craving in Buddhism. This needing something from the outside the whole time. And the only chance to overcome that is that you have established something beautiful in your own mind already, that the mind becomes happier and happier with itself. That you're sitting there, and instead of, oh, now I have to meditate again, it's meditation time, and I should sit for this amount of time, and I shouldn't move, and I shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't do that. Exactly the opposite. Oh, look, mind, now we have half an hour time, and we don't have to do anything. We don't even have to think. We don't have to figure out anything about the future. We don't have to look into the past if we missed something incredibly important that is going to give us all the answers. And so it starts with that almost like sometimes if we look in the wrong direction, it becomes uncomfortable from the very beginning. I know that back in Thailand, meditation was a torture. I know I have to sit there now for 1.5 hours or whatnot. It's going to be uncomfortable. The mosquitoes are biting me. My knees are going to hurt. So my mindset was setting itself up as something that I have to endure now to achieve something. That is how it was in the monastery in the old days in Thailand. It was a concrete floor, and you didn't have a pillow or anything. You had this thin mattress, and my knee was busted basically. My meniscus was half gone. So after 10 minutes I had pain sitting there. And then the only thing was getting through this pain, enduring that pain through my meditation basically, until the gong gongs. And when then the gong comes, you're going to be very happy. But why? Not because you had a beautiful meditation, but because the meditation is over. The suffering is finally over. Oh, I can get up. And so I hope meditation never becomes for you anything like that. Huh? We don't have to practice like that. You sit at home. You can be comfortable, hopefully, as much as you can in your body if you're not too sick. That's something you have to endure. If the body hurts and we can't do anything about that, that's gonna happen to all of us probably sooner or later. But the attitude that it's still body, I did the very best for you now. I made you as comfortable as I can. Maybe I took a painkiller or whatnot. It's all I can do, my dear. Now let's look where it goes. This is such a different attitude where the mind can even incline and maybe be interested. Oh, what is really going on if I don't have to do anything in the moment? How does reality continue when there's nobody in the background trying to pull the strings the whole time, thinking and putting attention there, putting attention there. Now I have to listen to that, now I have to watch this. And just the attention is just going to drift. It's just going to go through the ear, through the nose, going to a part in the body. It doesn't have to be anywhere in particular. It doesn't even have to be with your breath. It has to be absolutely nowhere in particular. The only thing important is that somebody kind is watching the process. That from the very beginning somebody is even interested in what is going on there. Not interested in getting anywhere in particular, but interested in exactly in that what is going on in that moment, each and every second. And that can be so beautiful and such a relief in itself, to realize I don't even have to be in charge. How beautiful that can be when nobody is in control. The whole thing just goes on and on and on. And if the attitude is kind, it can go anywhere where it wants to. There's nowhere where it can't go. There's nothing scary. There's nothing, no direction where the mind is not allowed to go, or where the perception is not allowed to go, because you deal with your mind in a kind way from the beginning, and you develop this trust in your own mind that you wish the very best for yourself. We don't do meditation to torture ourselves. We don't do meditation because we are bad boys, actually, and we have to become better. We're interested in the process, and we're interested in seeing what are the causes for going in a darker direction, and what are the causes going into a lighter direction. And the first cause of going in a darker direction is always unkindness in your own mind. Very, very, very negative, very harsh talk in your inner monologue. So being aware in the very beginning of the meditation of that attitude, this sort of, is there enough kindness there? No. Do I really want to sit here for half an hour? And if not, just get up and have a cup of tea or watch some television, or I don't care. Don't force yourself sitting there in the meditation. I mean, sometimes it might come a little bit wobbly, a little bit uncomfortable, but if you trust your own mind after a while enough, that's nothing even to endure. That's basically just a wobble, and it's just like me feeling a little bit tired after the shower or whatnot. It's just body and mind in that very moment, what we have to deal with in each and every moment. The attitude that you can put in the meditation, and if you have the feeling it's not kind enough, in the next second you can have the thought, that's okay, my dear. Right now you can't be kind enough. Don't blame yourself, there's nobody there. If you were in charge, you would be very kind right now. So we don't have to add if something doesn't work out. Sometimes it's so interesting to see that just this turning things around, instead of, oh, why does it not work out? Why does it have to be like that? Why that pain again? Why am I thinking about my losing my job, or I don't know what again? And the complaining mind comes up. It's just like, that's all right. That's all right. And then sometimes, instead of trying to push against it, the mind just sees, oh, it's all right. Oh, poof, and it drops by itself. And those experiences are so interesting, seeing how to deal with one's own mind, and how that little bit of dealing with yourself and your inner monologue in a friendly way can shift the perspective completely, shift the reality of that moment that seemed to be completely fixed and completely unbearable. And a second later, you don't even know where the problem was anymore. And that are not the super deep meditation experiences, but these are such beautiful insights on the path of seeing where the journey goes in the meditation. Where the mind just gets an idea. What is that letting go business? Is nobody there who was strong enough that letting go happened? It was the mind was so beautiful. There was so much inner happiness there that this outside world, perceived through our five senses, was becoming irrelevant. The beauty inside becomes basically so overpowering that the mind withdraws. And that feels in a bit like a focus, but on the other hand, it's basically also the opposite. It's a completely opening up to everything. And I mean, how can you open up to everything, like we chant in the Metta Sutta? Radiating kindness over the entire world. Can you imagine how open that is as a feeling? Radiating kindness over the entire world? How vulnerable, if there is somebody who still believes that something needs to be protected, do you think it's possible to spread kindness over the entire world? No. As something that is open and completely beyond this concepts of thought already, that something is there that needs to be controlled or protected or whatnot. It's just an open experience. And that can only happen if you deal with your own mind for many, many years in a kind way. If you stop this fighting, if you stop treating yourself in an awful manner, if you're in a monologue, and I don't mean that you're nice to everybody. That's then the next illusion again. I have to be nice to everybody now because I need this good mind states. No, you just have to be kind to yourself. Treat everybody else like garbage. That doesn't work either. But if you treat yourself kindly, I guarantee you, the other people around you will get the benefit of that as well. And often people always want to start on the outside. Just do something kind for somebody, and maybe sometimes when the mind is too down, you have to do it like that. But we have every second of every day where we're not sleeping the opportunity. Look what is going on in the mind. See what tone this inner monologue has. And then think, do I want to treat myself like that? Why should I treat myself like that? What are the benefits of treating myself like that? Whoever became a great person who was just shouted enough at? who got really far in his meditation or in his spiritual development through harshness. Yeah, and look around very, very closely. If you find them in the monastic life, in Christianity or whatnot, the shouters and the aggressive ones, and you try to tell me how happy they are, I'm not going to believe you. They're not. They're not happy. Actually, they're not happy people. And it's supposed to be a journey where the mind gets happier and happier and happier and happier, lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. That was the Buddha's intention. That is the beautiful way that he found out of that whole mess of suffering. Not to create more suffering in your minds, putting more stuff on your shoulders. And I'm sorry that I have to repeat that over and over again, but it doesn't seem to sink in. Every time I talk to somebody again, actually, and somebody asks me a question, it's always the same. It's basically when they sit down and meditate, is always somebody there already giving them instructions, and they get frustrated because the instructions don't get fulfilled. Their plan crumbles after a few minutes again, actually, in their meditation. It's just like, why don't get rid of that plan from the very beginning? Give the mind an opportunity. Give the mind the opportunity. You don't have to. Don't have to think. If you think, that's okay. If you still need to think in that moment, mind, my dear, if you think there is something so important that you really can figure out something now that is going to give you the clue, and life is going to become so easy, because in that half an hour, if you hadn't thought about that, then you would have never realized actually how important that was. But these answers are not in words. They are not in language. They are experiences. They are exactly that experience, that this delusion of control, when it falls away for a short time, is not scary. If the mind was interested in kind, it's beautiful. It's just so beautiful, and fear falls away because it's what to protect. Just imagine you don't feel your body for a while. You basically, let's call it an out-of-body experience. There is no body there anymore to protect. What do you want to protect still? There's only the mind there. There's only feeling and perception coming on and on and on. And then the thinking mind might kick in again. What does the thinking mind think? Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to hell. What is going to happen when in the next moment? What is going to happen if I do this? And blah, blah, blah. It's basically this unkind inner monologue starts again, trying to anticipate what is happening in the future. But if you have some good meditation, you see, that is just a blah, blah, blah in the mind. And you can say kindly, oh, okay, I know you. Just keep talking if you want to, actually. But there's nothing there to believe. If you're in the present moment, without a body, there's nothing to protect anymore, if you have a beautiful mind. I mean, this heaven and hell is in our own minds already. It's not out there. So please create a beautiful heavenly mind for yourself. Something where how you want to be treated by a really good friend. Treat yourself that way. Or the mother that you might have never had, how you, like we chant as well in the Metta Sutta, it doesn't say that, but like a loving mother would treat a child. How safe you can feel with somebody you feel loved with. That's how you should feel for yourself. And why not? Are you not good enough? Are you unworthy? It's impossible. Nobody is unworthy of that, because that is immediately the way of leading into a more wholesome direction. That's the only way out of suffering. The mind realizing what is causing more suffering for myself and other people. And that is also what stops suffering. And the beautiful thing is the mind can realize this. The mind doesn't have to be told. We know how it feels when somebody steals from us. It feels crappy. I don't want to feel crappy. I'm not going to steal from other people because I know that feeling. It feels shitty. How can I strive for a wholesome mind state in my own mind if I cause suffering to other people like that? Huh? Or if I harm people, if I kill people, if I break into relationships, if I run around drunk and punch people and insult people and screw around again, and what happens when people are drunk. So the 5 precepts are there for a reason. Huh? It's not a commandment. It all fits so nicely together once we see how mind states fit together. Huh? And the mind sees our unkindness and where it leads. Huh? We see the inner monologue leading already into a dark direction. And that is what meditation can teach us before we go super, super deep. But we see what the thinking mind can do, what impact thoughts have in the mind and where they lead. And we find ways of knowing I don't have to believe that thought. It's just a thought. It's not my thought. Huh? It's maybe a thought out of the past from somebody harsh in our past that told us something very forceful, and that it's just stuck with us. But we can change that. We don't have to treat ourselves that way, and it's not going to make us better people that way. The mind realizing this is causing myself suffering and agony, this is also causing other people suffering and agony. Mind realizing that it pulls away from it. Because the mind wants happiness. And that is the beauty of the Buddha's teaching. The mind realizing there is more happiness, there is more suffering. And that's why I still can't understand when people meditate for 20 years or whatnot and they still meditate that way. What the hell are they doing? Where do they want to go there in their minds? They still believe that some miracle thing is going to happen and they just have to endure a little bit more pain and then the great thing is going to happen in their meditation. Bullshit. It's not going to happen. I promise you. If I've seen anything, the only thing that can happen, people practicing so harsh, is that they push themselves against the wall. The mind doesn't know where to go anymore, and then letting go can happen as well. And what happens then? They get scared. Fear kicks in. Because you don't trust yourself. You treated yourself like an asshole for so many years, like this harsh guy in the background the whole time. Who are you going to trust? When the world is crumbling down, the body is falling away, and it's nothing that was so certain is certain anymore. It's a little bit like dying. The mind is basically free of what it thought before actually are the boundaries here. And the only thing the mind remembers is that guy in the background who was harsh and you don't want to be around with. And that is how people sometimes conditioning their own meditation. So please be careful with that. Be very, very careful with that. Always, you can say, I'm going to sit for another 10 minutes or whatnot. But it's just like you do it out of interest and not out of harshness. You do it because what's going to happen or whatnot. You can play around with the mind, but the attitude in that moment is always, I don't want anything bad for you, mind. I don't want anything bad for you and you and you and you and you. And I don't want anything bad for me. Definitely not. We're just trying to find out, see what is leading to suffering, see what is leading to happiness. That is the path of the meditation. So if we start now, please make sure that you are comfortable. Remember that you can change that mind state in every second by just accepting what is happening. That if you can't accept it, you accept that you can't accept it. It's an ongoing process, each and every second. Please watch that. Huh? It's not a fixed thing in time and space. It goes on and on and on and on, that attitude thing. And sometimes it's good in the beginning of the meditation if we produce a little bit consciously of that kindness. Huh? Starting with a smile or starting with a hug or whatever you want to do in your meditation. Start with something kind. Especially that we don't have to achieve anything now in the meditation. It's going to be interesting, whatever is going to happen. Even if it's going to be boring, what is boredom? Boredom can be incredibly interesting. What is that supposed to be even? There's nowhere where you're not allowed to go, my dear mind. And just thoughts don't have to control anything now. If the perception goes in the direction where it goes, it's welcome anywhere. From your big toe to your belly, to your forehead, to the upper body, to the chest, or maybe to the hearing again. Wherever it goes, the perception now. And there's nobody needs to control. We don't have to stay with the breath. The breath is just a beautiful anchor because the body is doing that anyway. If we feel comfortable doing that consciously, we can go there. If we just want to watch, we can watch. We just don't have to figure anything out. We don't need to control. It's basically being completely relaxed. Like the few minutes maybe when we lie on the bed before we fall asleep, where the body relaxes, and getting more and more comfortable. And maybe instead of falling asleep, we just relax and see what happens when the mind slows down. The thoughts slow down. Nothing is important. Nothing is of more value than the other thing. Everything is welcome. Just that kind watcher in the background, giving that whole process a little bit of time, because it's gonna slow down. If we stop pushing and pulling, everything slows down. Thoughts, even perception likes to settle somewhere after a while. And wherever you feel most comfortable, you can settle. Behind your eyes, on the tip of your nose, or through your whole body as a breath. Most of you have your experiences already, you know where you're comfortable. And that is just the anchor. Perception drifts, wonderful. If it stays, wonderful. Whatever you want to do, my dear. I'm gonna ring the bell 3 times to end the meditation for tonight.
Well, Ajahn, thank you. We now come to the last part of our evening. Ajahn, would you like to continue your talk or offer some time for comments, questions and answers?
Whatever is required. Well, I mean, the nice thing with that, the method that we're doing here, or the way we're doing it, is that usually I try to point something out before the meditation, then we meditate, and if people were interested and like to have a look there, they can have a look there. If they now, I hope you were, I made you more aware of the attitude in your meditation, of the one watching the meditation in the background, and how that what we usually call a self, ourself, or what the watcher, the one that is perceiving reality and commenting reality, and that we call a self. That when things slow down a little bit in the meditation, it becomes very obvious that there is an attitude watching what is going on there. Huh? And wherever perception goes, like when the wind is blowing here and that it goes back to my ears, or it goes somewhere in the body, it goes back to the breath, or a memory comes up or whatnot, then it's that awareness gets a little bit lost and distorted. So, but that basically then it calms down, and then I'm aware again of this of the one who is aware of the process, and that one has a taste to it, that has an attitude, has a smile or a frown, or there's anger with that watcher, or there's a flavor to that watcher, huh? And being clever enough to figure out after a while that is not in our power. We are not even that watcher there. Huh? It's not in our power to decide in every moment, oh, I'm going to be nice now. I'm going to be happy with anything that is going to happen now in my meditation. But after a while, we figure out a way to not create more conflict in our mind. Huh? And we see as negativity coming up. We see, there's negativity coming up. And something starts to know, actually, this is an added burden. I don't need that. For what? Huh? It's just an illusion of control again. Huh? Yeah, my knee is hurting now. That's what the body is doing. Huh? Having a body is constant hurt, constant uncomfortableness with something. Huh? That's the nature of the body, and we don't. If we stop adding to that, it becomes just very soft, very kind, very clever. Huh? There's nobody there in the background nagging and complaining. Huh? Or we see immediately if somebody is nagging, it's just creating more trouble. And that is always then the watcher behind the watcher and behind the watcher. And then if there's at a certain level, it becomes, I feel that sometimes in my face that I'm still holding on, there's still some, I put an effort into that still, or effort is almost too much. It's not effortless, that kindness. Yeah? I feel that in the corners of my mouth, when they're upwards still, there's still something there doing something. And then, for me, if that becomes calmer, and I feel even that going down, and my mind is trusting itself. Yeah? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. This is either the mind becomes unsteady again, it wants to figure out something again or control something again, or it comes to that point where it's really just from moment to moment to moment to moment, it's interested in what is happening there. It has stops this judging, or this is boring, this is painful, this is, I don't know, this is going into the past, going into the future. That fades away a little bit anyway. And it just comes to that point where it is really happy looking at what is going on when we stop doing stuff. Huh? And you will see, if you meditate in the same way, it needs a certain attitude in the mind, otherwise it's absolutely impossible. There is no trust to do that. There is to make that, to let that happen, is exactly taking your fingers off your hands off the wheel, and not trying to stir harder or whatnot, because you know so well where it's supposed to go. Is this trust in the process? If I kindly allow things to happen, that kindness creates the way of beauty in itself already. The mind being kind to itself opens up to everything else in that realm of kindness. I call that a golden string. You know? The golden string that is, it just you float down that golden string, and that is just a safe path. That's the path of the 5 precepts, the path of guilelessness, of harmlessness, to yourself especially as well. Know that inner trust that you want to develop your mind, and that is going to have benefits for yourself and other people if that happens. That is the beautiful way of the teaching of the Buddha. There is not another God there that we have to follow, and there's not another commandment there. It's basically, I figured out what leads to more happiness and what leads to more suffering. Have a look yourself, and he invites us to do that. And meditation is just a way to get a little bit deeper glimpses from time to time. Get a little bit of more perspective, not being inside of everything. Especially when feelings are strong, we just feel, that's me. I am angry, I am happy, I want this, I want that. If that is reduced, and this it doesn't. Most of you are familiar with the 5 obstacles that prevent us from good meditation, and the biggest one we most have to fight with is always wanting and not wanting. That goes on in every second. And if we have something that the mind is interested in from the very beginning, that the mind likes, we have a chance. We have a chance to look. Because it is interesting. It really gets interesting when we take our hands off the wheel. It's not boring at all. Boring is just a concept of the mind again from when you're 16 or what. So boring. But if you sit meditation and the thought comes up, oh, this is so boring, have a good look. How does it feel? What is boredom? Where is boredom? Where in your body is boredom located? Huh? What is that supposed to be? It's just somebody making a comment in the mind and we give it meaning again. Huh? Boredom can be incredibly fascinating. And you look actually and went, wow, where is that supposed to be? Boredom. And then that whole concept falls away and it's just the journey continues, the feeling, perception, it just continues. And it's just fascinating. Huh? And the more we immerse into that process, the more fascinating it becomes. And that needs trust. Trust in yourself that you mean well with yourself. And I hope you try to do that. You're clever enough to do that. Huh? There's nobody after you. Nobody wants you to be punished for your sins. Nobody is interested in that. Yeah? Any being who is interested in that is completely stupid. It's far, far below anybody else. Huh? Who is interested in punishing other beings? Huh? I mean, a God who's supposed to punish other beings, what sort of a God is that supposed to be? I cannot even fathom the concept. If you know a little bit of the mind, actually, how the mind works, the whole concept becomes ridiculous of this punishment. You see that the mind is constantly creating its own hells and its own heavens. And to let go, the Buddha advises us for a very good reason to keep the 5 precepts. If we know that we are guileless, harmless people, we have that trust to open up. If we cannot even trust ourselves, if we're brutal and we steal and we screw around and we lie and they are so unpleasant, these mind states. Everybody who has meditated and cannot see what a dark road these mind states are, exactly the opposite from the golden string that you can just go up or down on actually, and is safe there. And there are really dark directions, murder, cruelty. It's getting so dark in the mind in this area, so fearful. And so it's just when the mind realizes that, it just knows, I want to stay more on that path where it's where people don't have to fear me. I don't have to fear myself. And so it's not a new concepts and new commandments. This is the mind realizing things. And then whatever anybody tells you, if he tells you that you're completely on the wrong path and you don't believe in Jesus Christ and so you have no chance of going to heaven, it's just like, all right. I don't want to go to your heaven, actually. I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't have any meaning anymore. People just have some concepts in their mind, actually, and they try to sell you something. But you don't have to buy it. Look for yourself. I mean, that's the way of Buddhism. You just look for yourself. I was sick and tired of just believing other people what is supposed to be good for me. And the Buddha invited me here. I have figured that out, have a look. So you have a look. And if it doesn't work for you, throw it away. That's why Buddhism will always stay small. We don't have to convert anybody. And it's not that easy to see. Often people look just in the pleasure realms of the 5 senses. Another piece of chocolate, and I don't know, another girlfriend, and then they're 80 and they still want to get married again and find their dream partner. It's basically no looking inside, trying to find there is something there already that we haven't discovered. There is lots of beauty there already because we're reborn as human beings. So we have a huge potential already there. It's not that we have to develop and develop and develop and develop. Sometimes it's just this tiny little step to have a good look. There's in a lot of people, there's so much wholesomeness and goodness there already, and they're just they're still looking for something more. They don't need to. It's already there. Have a look at that kindness there. You know it already. Just don't forget it. Just bring it up again and again and again. That kindness in your own inner monologue, treating yourself like you want to be treated by your loving mother or by your best friend or whatever you want to envision there. Just be your best friend yourself, and you don't have to look so hard to find somebody out there. It's very nice, and it's not narcissistic or whatnot. It's just such a beautiful starting point already. You have it's so much easier if you don't want anything from anybody else. So much easier to communicate and to be with other people if you're not needy yourself. So yeah, I offer that to you. It's getting a bit late already. If you want to hang around a few more minutes, if there's a question, I'm happy to answer a question. Yes, please. Sibylle in Frankfurt. Was ist los, Sibylle? Alles klar?
Hallo, vielen Dank für die Meditation. Thank you very much for the meditation.
You're welcome.
I wanted to know who is watching the process, because I am feeling this concept. I don't know how to explain, but I mean, in daily life, I'm losing this feeling. In meditation, it's easy for me to watch, but in daily life, I have this little bit problem that I get lost.
No, it's for everybody like that. When we're immersed in something, when we interact with people and whatnot, there cannot be that awareness that you have in your meditation. That's usually when things happen to us. Then we get angry, or we get greedy, or we get frustrated, we get this and that. It just happens to us, and it feels, this is me in that moment as well. You know, there's sometimes if we've practiced a little bit and it's getting really unwholesome, at least I can step a little bit back often and say, no, enough. I don't want to shout now or whatnot. So that is then already basically somewhere the watcher in the back of my. It's more something that is conditioned as well, that is learned as well, because my mind knows if I start shouting now, I'm going to create karma again. It's going to have consequences again, and it's usually unpleasant. And I have to apologize afterwards and whatnot, because I don't want to be shouted at, and it usually doesn't help much, actually. It might be helpful in some situations still when somebody is hysterical or whatnot, I don't know. But in general, I don't want to do certain things anymore. And then the conditioning kicks in. And I mean, it's the same conditioning in your meditation. The watcher is another conditioned process. The one who is aware right now, how do you feel? Whatever I say now, how that sounds to you, if it's getting in or if it's unpleasant or pleasant or doesn't make sense or it makes sense, exactly that one that is watching right now. It has always a flavor to it, depending on our mood. So in the meditation, I just suggest that we try our very best to make that watcher that is there in any way, somewhere in the background, make that conscious and make it kind. And be aware of that watcher, and that kind watcher can fade more and more into the background, and then that dualistic thing that somebody is still watching a process, the deeper the meditation goes, that becomes completely one. And then it's what I describe as this golden string. But it is this kindness where the mind just trusts to let go in. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes less and less dualistic. The watcher is at the start of the meditation, and in our daily life we often lose that completely. We just get completely immersed in whatever is happening to us. But that is how we use the meditation, that we make that, because we train the mind to see clearer and clearer. This is an unwholesome direction, this is a wholesome direction. And then we don't have to tell the mind anything, it just remembers. Huh? Does that make sense?